In the name of God, the compassion, the merciful, I cannot thank God enough for this blessing of being with you. I think it's very difficult for us to understand the greatness of this moment, because we are living this moment, and just I think the passage of time may help us better understand what God is doing. I have 26 years of knowing Focolare, but years which are full of events, meetings, reflections. So if I want to speak 1 minute for each year, it is 26 minutes. But I don't want to take that time. It's because I want to also hear your reflections, questions, comments. So basically, in my search for understanding better Christianity as lived and practiced, not just as it is written in the books. So when I went to UK in '96 to start my PhD there, so we tried to know about Christians. And then it was not very easy to find Christians who are practicing, who are open. You cannot knock every door and say, no, are you happy to have him, etc. So my wife had a roommate in seminary, Shahzad, you know Shahzad in Italy. So they were together, and she had heard about Focolare. So one day she called her and said, are there Focolare available in UK? And she said she will check. So we were contacted by one of our Focolare sisters, Mariapolis from Korea. They had a house in Liverpool during Manchester, so she came to our house. And then we were invited to a day meeting in Hope University. That was several months after we were away from our country. And in many countries, unfortunately, nowadays, it's not easy to find, fragrance of faith, unless maybe private. So you live in a secular society. But when we met our Focolare friends, we felt very much, love for Focolare was present. And it was like being back home, in our own country, because Iran is a religious, country. And anyway, we made lots of visits. We invited them, they invited us. We attended Mariapolis, the first Mariapolis we attended in Lake Street. There were maybe, 700 Christians, and we were the only Muslim family. And we felt still very much at home. We didn't feel, we are strangers. And then 99, we went to Rome and Piano, and journey continued. I tried to be always open and a friend, but also I was an observer. Yeah, because I have a background in theology and philosophy. And for me to trust and to believe in something is not easy. Yeah? It takes time, and I'm not easily, accepting things or, believing in something. So I was observing, what is this movement? Because I had also many other Christians now. At that time, developed my relation, and I had lots of good friends, and I had lots of love for many of my Christian friends. But with Focolare it was different, because you have always, good individuals Focolare as a whole is, very consistent and, everywhere the same. So I visited Focolare in many cities in the world. Normally when I travel, I visit Shomali and Focolare. So if there is any Focolare house or Mariapolis, and this is before. Now even it's different. But before, so I was telling myself, why these people are so good? Sometimes you wonder, it's too good to be. Everywhere you find them, they are good, they are very loving. I remember once I was in the US, attended American Academy of Religion, and there was a book display, and Focolare had a stall there. I saw Focolare for the first time, but we were so close to each other, just over half an hour, that as if we know each other for years. Everywhere I travel, I meet very international, group of people. Everywhere there is Italian, there is Filipino, there is someone from Brazil. So very mixed, but the same spirit. Even when Chiara came in 2004 to the UK for the last time, I was invited to a talk. So I went all the way from Iran to London to speak as a friend of movement. In 2004, I said to Chiara, I have visited many places that Focolare exists, and I found the same spirit. And I congratulate you for what you have done under God's provision. So, I was observing, I was trying to be not naive, not to be, falling in trap, but not being suspicious. I always tell people, you have all the right to be careful, to be cautious, but don't be suspicious. Because if you are suspicious, everything then has different meaning. Even if someone genuinely does something, they say, oh, this is, tricky. There is something hidden here. So, I try to be very careful, but open, and a friend. We love, we talk, we share, but still, I was not confident that we can establish unity. And then it was in 2015, as today in the morning, Roberto mentioned and Isra mentioned, that when we took a group of 6 ladies for the second time to Lopiano, and they were supposed to have 1 month of formation and observing the formation of Focolare. This was especially tailored by Roberto and others, because no one as a Muslim goes there. So, because my wife's passport was stolen in Fiumicino Airport, so we had to stay longer in Lopiano. And thanks to God, those extra days that we stayed in Lopiano made many things clear. Not because just staying longer. I think God had a plan. And I remember once I visited the place for the priests. Is it Winamir in Chisa? And 2-3 priests were there, and one of them asked me about your experience with Focolare. This is 2015. And I tried to explain to him my understanding of Focolare and my understanding of spirituality of Focolare, my understanding of the Lamb of God for you. And the way I was speaking to him, I was understanding myself better. Sometimes, there are things you feel, but unless you explain to someone, you don't have a clear picture. Then many points came to my mind in that visit and then in the extra days in Lopiano. For example, I told him that in my tradition as a Muslim, especially we are Shia Muslims, we have this idea that in the end of time, our 12th Imam from progeny of the Prophet, who is in occultation, will come and Jesus also will descend, because we believe God raised Jesus. So Jesus will descend, our Imam will reappear, and they together work for universal peace and solidarity and justice. And then when I read in our traditions the characteristics of their companions, who are the people who can help them, I find some characteristics that are available in Focolare. And I knew all those hadiths, but the first time things clicked was in that meeting. For example, one of the characteristics of those people who prepare the ground for universal peace and justice is that when you look at them, you feel they are brought up by the same father and mother. كأنما رباهم أب واحد وأم واحدة. They may look different. One is maybe black, one is yellow, one is white, one is red. But when you meet, listen, interact, you say, these are children of the same father and mother. I said, I have seen this in Focolare. Because everywhere I go, is as if they are brought up by the same father and mother. Sometime later, Roberto mentioned a beautiful story about India, that how the children, when they wanted to describe Focolare to their family, they said they look different, but they are like children of the same father and mother. So, for me, this is very important gift, because I have worked hard, in seminary, in formation of seminarians and students, etc. And I know that it's not easy to have such consistent, character from, east of the world to the west. So I think this is something that gives me hope, that this spirituality is paving the way for coming of Jesus and Imam Mahdi. Also, what says is that قلوبهم مجتمعة بالمحبة والنصيحة. Their hearts are united with love and wishing the best for each other. I said, I find this among them. I find it in some other people, but in Focolare is collective, is not just individuals. You can always find good individuals in every tradition, but something as a whole, consistently the same, is here. Or for example, we find that the believers are supposed to be like different organs of the same body. Our Prophet said the example of the believers is like just one body. When one part of the body has a problem, all body suffers. All body has fever. Yeah, fever is not just for the part that's infected. All body has fever. All body cannot rest. So believers are supposed to be like one body. And I said, I have seen this Focolare. They are like just one body. And there is circulation. Because I was observing the way, there is word of life, there is link up, how responsibles go every year, 3 weeks to Rome to discuss the care. So I was processing all these things. So I said, for me, they are like just one body. Everyone tries to serve the whole body. Whatever they produce, they put it in the blood, goes and other parts that they need, they take. No one is saying, I want to keep more here. No, everyone should share. Sharing is very important. Anyway, when I was giving to those priests these ideas, in my mind it was becoming clearer. And then some other things happened in that trip. So, from 97 up to 2015. So, it took me 18 years to come to the conclusion that I am ready for unity. So, I was invited to talk to people who work for Mariapolis. In 2015, there was joint Mariapolis of UK and Ireland in University of Hope in Liverpool. And interestingly, that was where I attended the very first meeting of Okolana. So after 18 years, now I am invited to talk. And I said, I believe this spirituality is for all of us. And I, as a Shia cleric, I support this. Of course, this can cause some problems for me, but I was happy to take the risk. Because I don't think you can make anything big unless you take some risk, but measured risk. Yeah? So it was after 18 years of the study that I said, yes, I should take the risk and put myself in this position. And then in 2016, this was 15, in 16 I was in Sofia to teach in a course, master's course on interdisciplinary. So I had 4 sessions about Islam and interdisciplinary. And then after that I met Piero and I suggested this idea that we sit together, we put our resources together and ask God to guide us. And I said, I am in London, it's not very far, we can try 3-4 times. If we feel we are making progress, we continue. If we see we are just repeating ourselves, we stop. And he welcomed this idea and asked me, what should we call this? And I didn't know he's going to accept, so I didn't think about name. So when he said, what should we call? I had a little pause and said, Wings of Unity. And he welcomed this idea. So we started Wings of Unity. So the first session was in July 2016. In April, we agreed, July we had the first. So just recently, in May, we had the 11th round of Wings of Unity. So our relation has very much developed. Also, Piero suggested we make a pact of love. So we made a pact of love and we started Wings of Unity. And then we had a few occasions that we had the youths. So we started with taking group to Nadico. Then we had a week of unity in Robiam and Trent. So far we have taken 4 groups to Monte. We have taken different groups to Mariapolis Piero. I have been there 4 times to Mariapolis Piero. And also Wedding Garden City. So since that time that I made decision to work with Focolare in a united way, not just as a friend, not just as someone who loves, as a team. I think we made lots of progress. And God gifted us with these Wings of Unity, which is, going very well. I myself have understood many things about Islam during this discussion in Wings of Unity. Because when we are together with the people that they love you and you are united, your mind and heart work much better. Sometimes I use this example. I say my mind and heart work better when I am with the people that I can put on my pajama. Because then I'm not worried. Yeah? So with Focolare, my mind and heart are at rest. Because I know they are united, they love me, and they don't, judge me or, have bad opinion. So I can share with them my concept. Even I can say, this is something that still I am thinking about it. I'm not sure, but I want to get feedback. So many things we have understood better in these discussions that we have. And then we share it throughout the year in different platforms. With Roberto and Rita, we had a panel in World Parliament of Religions in Toronto. We talked about unity of God, University of Glasgow, the University of Tangaza in Kenya, University of Nairobi, in many places. But something also maybe more important, because people ask me, what's the plan, what's the solution? We have made this part of the formation. So in our institute in Qom, we have International Institute for Islamic Studies. I'm the founding director. So every person who joins our institute, we inform them about this experience, and we try to arrange for them to experience this. So this year, for the 4th time, we had 3-week course in Nairobi, Tangaza University, on the unity of God and unity of God, and then 1 week in Mariapolis Ginetta. So everyone who comes to our institute must have this experience. It's not easy always to arrange visa to go to Italy. Kenya is easy, but also we have some taking groups to Italy. I have an online program. Mustafa, Reza are part of that online program. We have people from Canada, from US, different countries. This is also part of formation. We travel together. We go to Lopiano, to Monte, we come here, Mariapolis Piero, because I don't want just to teach them Islamic theology or interpretation of the Quran or ethics. I want them also to understand this idea of unity. Because I have to be consistent. I cannot have 2 packages. When I am with Christians, I talk about these things. When I am with my students, I say something else. Everything has to be consistent. So what I say here, I say to my students. And I want them to also experience. So these journeys, these trips are part of also formation. So at the same time that we explore, at the same time that we acknowledge work of God, but we are visiting together. And whatever I'm experiencing, we experience together. So this is, I think, the way forward. Every young seminarian, priest, imam, a student of theology, this must be part of their formation. If they study Christianity or Judaism or Islam, whatever, they should understand how to look at people of other faiths and traditions. How they should understand the plan of God for humanity. We cannot separate these things, and we cannot delay this. We cannot say, okay, when they mature, become 40, 50 years old, we tell them what to do with other people. No. We live in a world today that there is no way to even grow in your own faith without knowing what to do with people of other faiths. And if you really have God as the center of your life, you cannot be indifferent to people of God, to children of God. I cannot say to my parents, till I marry and have children and establish my business, I don't bother about my siblings. When I have my family established, business established, then I try to meet my brothers and sisters. It's not So this has to be part of the formation. And our experience is that actually this makes them more faithful.
Yeah.
If they understand things properly, they are not going to be, weak in their faith. They will be very strong. We just had in the afternoon that 2 of the young Christian people, when they attended the first week of unity at Tunadico, then they decided to join Focolare. Before that, they didn't have this idea. One was thinking, one had no idea. So when these Christians and these Muslims meet each other and see our unity, they become stronger in their faith. Not that they convert to the other faith or they leave everything and say, we are confused. We don't understand. No. We are very clear in our identity. And we work also with people who want to be clear. We don't want to create something diluted. But when they see how much love for God has united us, they see this is genuine. This is the type of faith that is good for me and for people. No one now wants to be part of something which creates division or war or conflict. Everyone looks for unity by their nature. So, our experience has been that this is a very good way for formation, for education. Plus, we can together invite other people who have really no faith or lost their way to God. We can help them to go back to God. We don't want them to come to my side or other side. We want them to go to God. Everything should be based on God. So, the idea is, if God is the center of our life, and we want to listen to God, then how we can fail to be united? If God cannot unite us, what else is going to unite us? Are we waiting for another thing to unite us? No. Money cannot unite us. Politics cannot unite us. If they don't divide us, they're not going to unite us. The only thing that can unite us is God and our God-given conscience. So, we have God, which is the same, who created the world. Sometimes people who may have doubt, maybe God of Muslims, God of Christians are not the same. I say, my God is the one who created the world. Who is your God? It's the same God. So, if God cannot unite us, what can unite us? Nothing can unite us like God. So, we have all the resources for unity. And this doesn't mean that we compromise about our theological differences. But just these differences are secondary. The main thing is we should go towards God. Every person should try to move towards God. Then, how we move towards God, these are details. Follow the best tradition available. Follow the best resources that you have. I think that's the second. The main thing is, do you want to go towards God? Do you want to dedicate yourself to God or not? This is the main thing. Sometimes we forget this and we fight over how to please God. But for someone who has not dedicated himself to God, this is not valuable. So, we thank God for showing us this path of unity. And we thank also the pioneers in this path. Over centuries, many people worked hard for unity. And whether we know them or we don't know them, we thank God for them. And we pray for them. And in particular, we want to thank Kiara for what she did under provision of God, guidance and support of God. And also all of you who have responded to the call of God, which was for Kiara, but not limited to Kiara, for the whole humanity. So we thank God, and we hope we can also play our role. If we are united, we can change the world. If we are divided, we cannot even change ourselves. Yes? With unity, we can change the world. So, world needs each person of us to work for unity. And we should not underestimate any person. Any person is full of talents and full of energy. Just, we need to connect with each other. We need to make a wire that puts our brains and heart together, and then we can do wonders. So we are very hopeful, not because there are no problems. There are lots of problems in the world, and sometimes if you think about problems, you want to just despair. So many problems are in the world, but we are very hopeful because we trust God and we trust humanity, which is made by God. Humanity can go wrong for some time, but not forever. Humanity finally goes back to God. It's our role to pave the way. Anyway, thank you very much for your kind attention, and hope we meet each other more often and exchange good news of the work for unity. Thank you.